consigned to the Europa League next season. The knives are out. Ex-players, pundits, fans alike, all trying to find the scapegoat that they can pin exactly what's gone wrong with Manchester United's season on. None other, in terms of expensive mistakes, than Alexis Sanchez. He's on around £20 million a season. He's come in for 4 years and he's delivered 5 goals in 45 appearances. My maths, Craig, tell me that's 1 in 9. Let's start with Sanchez and explain exactly what's gone wrong.
No idea. I mean, it's like, do you know what? More important than the numbers for me, or as important than the numbers, because numbers can fluctuate, but performances can still be good, is his general performance. His general performance has been awful. I mean, absolutely awful. So that the numbers will back that up, but you know, you can still do other things in games that make a difference. He, to my knowledge, has just completely looked a different player that was at Arsenal. And he's now, you know, if we talk about, and I've talked about Mesut Ozil being at times a £300,000 a week headache for Unai Emery, and he has been this season. What the hell is this guy now for Manchester United? And by the way, shouldn't the picture behind us be a still of Ed Woodward as the worst chief executive making football decisions? Maybe not making money decisions for his owners, the Glazers, but making football decisions. So, yeah, I think it's what did we name this? The worst transfer of all time. We see the graphic at the bottom here.
Yeah.
You know, it's Monday morning. Monday is a bit harsh, I suppose, but you know, because there are a few, but it's looking. I mean, it could get better. It might get better next year. I don't think so. It's almost like he's got to a point where the energy's not there anymore. You know, that half a yard. You know, that to get away from somebody, to drop a shoulder, he had to lose your marker. He hasn't got that. And if you say to me, what's Alexis? If I said to you, what's his best position, what would you say?
Well, he's been most effective through the centre. I mean, but really now you don't really know. Cutting in off the left-hand side, perhaps?
If you were to say to me, I would say, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know where you play him to get the best out of him. I don't know. He's not a winger. He's not a striker. I wouldn't really say he's a number 10 behind him. I mean, he can play in all these positions if need be, but what is he? I mean, has he got is it not a specialist position? That's what I mean.
You must have seen this in...
Anyway, I do know what he has been. He's been a disaster.
You must have seen this in players in the past, players that you've played with as well, where they just go off the rails and there's a physical side to it. You know, the weight comes on, not feeling settled perhaps, not feeling like he's been kind of prepped for the right position.
The weight as in terms of putting weight on?
Putting weight on,
right.
Yeah. But not really having the confidence of the coach. I mean, he started 6 games with Solskjaer. His only goal for Solskjaer, I think, came against Arsenal in the Cup. Is a player who is obviously lacking confidence, but lacking confidence of the organisation behind him, which goes completely against what they did when they paid so much money, the club's most expensive player of all time, to sign him. And he must have been, effectively, for want of a better word, a disease in the dressing room in terms of what the other players have looked at for money earnings and what they want to get out of the club.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to be a bad influence in the dressing room in terms of your attitude to have a negative effect purely for the financial reasons. You know, you don't have to be a bad guy. You don't have to be somebody that falls out with everybody. But you've only got to be on that kind of money, and the next person says, well, I need to be on that. I mean, I know of the past, there have been players at certain clubs who had it in the contract. If somebody came in and got more money than them, their contracts were already bumped up automatically. No ifs, no buts. But I'd imagine that's few and far between. So knocking at the door of your chief executive or manager is say, listen, you know, hey, old Alexis there is doing not a lot and getting bucketfuls of money, and I'm doing a bit more, but not great. But you know, so these things go on. It's difficult. It's going to be a difficult situation there for him. You can lose confidence as a player Every player loses confidence at some point. It doesn't matter if you get 500,000 a week or 50,000 a week or 5,000 a week. If you lose confidence, it's difficult when you're at a big club. But if you lose confidence and the fans are getting on your back, and you know, and I think this was your point, and you know that the management have got no confidence in you either, then that's doubly difficult. Because you're trying to play well, you're trying to win over the fans, and you're now trying to win over the management. Because you know they don't fancy you either. At least when the manager's behind you, he can say, listen, I know you'll come good. I want you to work in this, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. He's got nobody behind him at Man United because he just hasn't done enough to get anybody behind him.
Can he turn it around for himself? They have to get rid of him. He can't do it there.
I don't see any way he's going to turn this around. I really can't see Alexis Sanchez next year being a linchpin for Man United because they'll go down a different road. What I see happening here, and I'm not being clairvoyant, but I'm trying to be, is nobody will take him on a full wage packet. And I can see him leaving for another club with Manchester United still having to pay part of that remuneration. So hence cutting their cost but not cutting the cost 100%. And I think that would, to me, be the favourite move I see for United and for Sanchez next year, would be a part payment of his wages and get him off the squad playing list.
It's how big a problem is it for United, do you think? With everything else they've got to sort out.
Well, it's not the biggest problem, but it's a big problem financially. I mean, I know they can soak that up. Big club. Lots of resources. Understand that. But it is a problem for signing players because people are not stupid. This is a global game. Everybody knows probably what they're paying. I mean, we don't know to an exact amount, but there'll be plenty of people out there in the agency world who will know exactly what he's getting. And so therefore that's a problem going ahead because you can't have, I don't imagine, you can't have 10 or 12 players all earning that money. I mean, just, you know, it's just not, it doesn't make financial sense. So it's not the biggest problem, but it is a big problem. That's the way I would put it.
And just to put a cap on Alexis
I'm
Sanchez.
not saying he's the worst transfer in all time, by the way. I don't know. I'd have to think. We've got a list here.
Well, United have had a few, haven't they?
You know, Fernando Torres is on this list. Although when he went to Liverpool, and I did his first ever game in the Premier League for Setanta Sports with John Champion, and he was absolutely mustard. By that I mean he was magic. And he was magic for a long time, but he wasn't magic when he went to Chelsea for 50 million. That was the difference. Which wasn't Ancelotti's call, it was Roman Abramovich who just went, oh, get me Torres. Yeah, Liverpool went, 50? Okay. And then he just wasn't. I mean, he had some success there, but he just wasn't the player he was at Liverpool because he was absolutely magic. Sanchez is just, I mean, there's a whole list here.
Just to stand up for Torres here, a goal every 3 or 4 games in Chelsea Blue. It's a goal every 9 games here at the moment. Yeah.
And I watched a lot of Fernando Torres at Chelsea, and the crowd were laughing at him. He was falling over the ball. He just wasn't this guy who I thought was one of the. When I saw him at Liverpool, I thought he was the best striker in Europe. That's how good he was. When I saw him at Chelsea, I couldn't believe the difference. He was falling over the ball. He was just, but he did score some goals, as you say. He's just, I don't know. I can't work it out. It's just you know. If we could all get that kind of money just to sit about and do nout. I mean, we'd sit about and do nout, but we don't get as much as that. We don't do a lot, but we also don't get 500 grand a week.
I was going to say,
try.
we frequently...